Hey YouTube, what's going on? Culturedog Sam Hatch, back here with another video. And I mentioned in the Star Wars contest video that I had recently gotten in a box of Japanese LaserDiscs from the one, the only, the almighty Kevin Kobos of Good Squid. He is the proprietor of an amazing shop that has just about every possible Japanese LaserDisc, and sometimes some American ones too, that you could ever want. And he's great at working with you. If you have a want list of titles, you can just send it to him and he'll look out for you and keep you apprised of the situations. He's really good at shipping things affordably. You can either get the SAL shipping that's a little bit quicker, or the patented Kobos slow boat shipping, where it basically sits in one of those big metal containers you see in movies and Call of Duty games and sits on a freighter for a month or two at a time before it shows up. But when it does show up, it's like Christmas every time. In fact, just this week there was Kobos Day. On Monday, everybody was getting in their Kobos packages, so it's always a good time. But I've been working on collecting. This is completely illogical, and there's no reason for me to do this because I have all the films on DVD and Blu-ray. But James Bond films. I'm a huge James Bond fan, and the James Bond film series is my favorite film series, and I just can't get enough of this stuff. So for some reason, I decided to start collecting all the NTSC releases. That's my one thing, is I'm not going to get any PAL discs because I can't play them, and I'm not really into collecting things that are slightly rare, at least, because if I'm just collecting them just to have them and I can't use them, I feel like I'm kind of actively taking them out of the hands of another collector, somebody who has a PAL player and may really enjoy them. So I figured it just NTSC discs, so that means I can get a smattering of Hong Kong discs, which will be very difficult, and a lot of US discs and a ton of Japanese discs. And part of it too is because I didn't really pick up a lot of the American discs back in the day. There was a very good series through the late 80s, early 90s of widescreen releases, and I had picked up some of the Connery collection stuff, but really my Bond collection really suffered on LaserDisc, so now it's time for me to retroactively make good on that. And shoutouts to Darth Briarboy. Unfortunately, for the diehards out here, you're going to see some full screen, as Darth Briarboy calls it, full screen releases. Because I'm collecting them all, and I'm almost done with the widescreen releases. So we're going to flash back to the early 80s, the first series of Warner releases over there. That's the interesting thing, too, is that in Japan, different companies were releasing them. Over here, you had 20th Century Fox and CBS Fox, and then the later MGM discs. But over in Japan, they were first released on Warner with the imprint, with the jackets that looked just like all old Warner VHS cassettes, and LaserDisc did. That was their style of choice, and then a big photo in the middle. And it's so funny, this one, You Only Live Twice. It's a really awkward photo to have of Sean Connery, and he almost just looks like an Italian tough guy in there, seen from later on in the movie. Not the one I would particularly choose, but it's still pretty cool. It's got a giant Obi strip on these suckers, and I'll show you. When I collect them all, I'm going to go through and really get through the nitty-gritty of these guys, because they have some inserts and things like that, too. This is a short film, so it's not a gatefold, but pretty cool stuff there. And one of my all-time favorite Bond films, George Lazenby and the killer Diana Rigg in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Again, kind of odd cover choice there. This one is a gatefold, and looking forward to firing this up, even though it's in full screen. Some of the films won't matter as much. The early films and then some of the 70s films were shot in, if not open matte, there may have been, I think there's some back and forth as to whether or not there was some hard matting going on, but they were screened either 1.66 to 1 or 1.85 to 1, depending on where you were located in the world. Also picked up one of my not so favorite Connery films, but Diamonds Are Forever. When they did the cover art using the posters, I kind of started to dig this. I mean, obviously there's a lot of material from the poster that gets lost in the translation because it's so tightened and cropped, but it's pretty rare unless you actually have a one-sheet to see the cover art this close up and in your face. So when they started doing that, I actually started to become a fan of the cover art for these Warners. I could deal without the kind of, baby poop brown on the rest of the jacket, but But that was pretty cool. And again, I think this one's also pretty badass looking. Another single disc, because it's a short film, or short-ish, just under 2 hours, but Live and Let Die, the first Roger Moore James Bond film. Again, really cool, striking stuff. And that's another one that's that'll be fine in 4:3. Then I have some of the other ones. I've got Moonraker, I think I showed in one of my older ones. So we jump ahead a little ways into Octopussy. Again, pretty cool artwork. In fact, I almost like the fact that they cut off the bottom because their legs are impossibly long in the original artwork, and it's pretty goofy looking once you key into that. But, yep, another nice one. And more impossibly long legs. A View to a Kill. So that's it for the original Warner Home Video releases, for now at least. There's a few others in the collection that I'm missing. And I still need to get some of the next reissue when they put them out again as the Evergreen series. So Warner Home Video and UA, but I did get Goldfinger. Pretty cool image there. Now that's a good picture to put on the cover. And this time around they decided to do different colorings for the kind of Warner backdrop there, which is cool. I mean, it's kind of goofy with the big leaf up there, but still cool to have that. Then we move into the end of the Evergreen series, though this one doesn't have any markings as such, but it is a blockbuster, License to Kill. Another nice gatefold. Reverend Butcher on the back. Yeah, this is good stuff. I love having the poster art on there. And then jumping over to widescreen finally. This was one of the few still missing. I'm just about done. I think maybe I have 2 left, something like that. 2, 3. But For Your Eyes Only, with a little bit more going on in the artwork there than the usual American one sheet with just the actual photograph of the woman and her behind and Roger Moore. So that's pretty cool. And another gatefold. Don't worry, I'll show you the gatefold interiors and all that stuff on a future video. Then, just because I happened to see, Kevin had this stuff, I asked him at one point, I was like, you have any Bond movies? And I harass him on a regular basis for this stuff. So these were all, wicked affordable, and I figured why not jump into some non-canonical James Bond stuff. And this is actually a pretty gorgeous looking jacket. A Columbia Pictures release of Casino Royale, the 1967 version, which is a hot mess, but really like this disc. That's cool looking. And another nice gatefold. Yeah, I couldn't say no to that. And as long as we're going non-canonical, I had to pick this up. This is pretty funky looking. A Herald Videogram, early 80s release. Never Say Never Again. Pretty funky stuff. I like the artwork. It's a little weird. But one of these is supposed to be letterbox, according to the LDDB. I don't know if it was this one or Casino Royale. It might be this one. I'm going to take this for a spin and see if it was. I don't expect it to be letterbox. It's early 80s and whatnot. But this, however, is widescreen, and it's the only American disc that I got in the lot. The widescreen Warner Brothers issue of Never Say Never Again. I didn't have any of these before. Again, I haven't actually owned. I owned Casino Royale on DVD, but I never owned Never Say Never Again on any format. I was just catching it on TV whenever it was on, and of course I'd seen it in the theaters. But yeah, so now I've got a couple LaserDisc versions of it. Fear not, there are many more, far too many more Japanese LaserDiscs coming my way. Kevin really helped out with finding some gaps in my collection, and much to my wallet's chagrin, we're making it happen. So I have to wait a little while for the slow boat to arrive, but it's going to be some cool stuff when it arrives. Some more unboxings, and you may see some more James Bond discs next week. I'm going to be running a new series, a kind of day, a week in the life of Culturedog, but broken up day by day, and there's some unboxings of a lot of cool things in there, and yeah, Just saying. There might be some James Bond in there. Anyways, thanks for hanging out, checking out these discs. Hopefully you guys enjoy seeing Japanese James Bond imports. I'm going to have some more LaserDiscs soon, and just other pickups too. I got some more music stuff recently. A bunch more Blu-rays and whatnot, and I have to do my new LaserDisc player addition to the collection video. Shout outs to Peter Biancardi for hooking that up. So we'll have that going shortly. And I mentioned before in the last video, I'm going to do a tour of my newest speakers that I happened to pick up too recently. So I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Hope you're having a delightful midweek. And yeah, cheers. Enjoy your martinis.